Hi, welcome to my demo of HTML5 particles. Today I am going to demonstrate to you about how to create particles within the browser, and it's also taking care of the size of the particle as well as the memory allocation and deallocation most importantly. This small effect is currently using 10 particles. You can increase it to however you like, the code is there, and there is also a significant amount of code restructuring done. So yeah, let's begin with the code. So let's close up the browser first of all, so that doesn't need much. This demo unfortunately does not work on Firefox 21. It used to work on Firefox 20. Okay, now coming to the basics. If you have already seen my previous demos, then you should be aware with a little bit of the structure. Now let me start with the basic parts. So initially there is a common variable declarations. Okay, your width and height of the browser is taken care from here, the body. Okay, now let's go to the top. So we have the again the frame rate code, the general degree to radian conversion, this one parameter. Then there is gravity. As of now this is not used. I intend to keep this code base to make future code base changes. Then this is because I need the mouse allocation to be done, and I don't want to create hundreds of objects and do a getx every damn time. So yeah, this is one object that is created, which will be disposed on Windows on, unload, exit. That is when you close the browser. And this is a list to put all the object references within this, so that later I can dispose of it. And since I was using a lot of iterators, there's a looper here. Okay, now before coming to the main part, these are the common functions that already exist. If you have seen the previous demos, a little bit of error checking done here. Okay, so get random, get negate for toggles, and then hex conversions, frames per second initiations. And this is the mouse move event object, and mouse lock is the object that was created initially. On exit I'll be destroying this, as well as whatever objects are within the particle list. This is where the button event is put inside. Since it's a button, I don't want to destroy the mouse location since I intend to use it. Okay, all the code is initiating from here, main. So I hit a main, I draw the canvas and I alter the canvas as usual. In draw canvas, these are some special effects. I shall tell you soon what it is on. On the on click event, I am doing a particle generator. Okay, and the clear button, I am associating the force clear, which is earlier. Draw canvas will draw the canvas, the button, as well as the frames per second display. Now coming to particle generation, what it is doing is first loop through the number of particles present and define it. Okay, I'll be mentioning what it is. This is the object list, and I'll draw it first. Now in the redraw event, which I am putting in the mouse, in the set interval canvas timer, the redraw will be called. Redraw, what it is basically doing is getting the x and y position and moving to wherever the mouse location object is there. Okay, x and y. There are some few calculations done over here based on where the mouse pointer is. Okay, and based on the speed, it will move around quickly or slowly. Next, I am associating I'm using the dispose list as a parameter list to redraw the sample on the page. So this redraw event will take care of drawing every single particle on the canvas. Now coming to the main object. The main object in this part, and for future reference, will be define 3D global object. I am considering XYZ as well as gravity, and there is a destroy parameter to destroy this global object. This define 3D global object is called every time you define a particle. So when you define a particle, all you care about is x, y and z and the size. Gravity is taken care of, but yet not used as of now. Okay, now I create a particle object. I associate the base with the 3D object, which has generic parameters. Size, I am associating for every single particle the size. This will not change. This is functionally what it is doing is you are creating an arc and you are completing the arc. You are creating an arc and completing the arc. That's the maximum that you are going to do to create a particle simulation. Remember, it's a simulation. It's doing 2D as of now. I intend to further expand it to 3D. Let's see how it goes in the future. So in the first functionality, what I'm doing is I'm associating that new particle object that I created for defined particle to the dispose list, where I can use it anywhere multiple number of times until I destroy the object. And the length I'm increasing to 1, so that keeps on increasing. Here is a few getter functions to get from the 3D global object. So each time I have to do part object dot base part object dot x, and so I just created a getter so that I can quickly get it. Okay, next is the first draw. Here is a general reset of the canvas. Now this algorithm I got it from Wikipedia. It's a general algorithm for angular diameter. The calculation is pretty simple. I have written all the parameters here. Okay, now this is a mini calculation of mine that I have done, that I have considered x and y based on the z position. It's not perfect, but yeah, it somewhat works. Next, this will calculate the size. So temp s is temporary size. This size is associated with the arc call. Here is your stroke style and fill style, which is initially blank since we are drawing it for the first time. Okay, and I will go ahead and stroke and fill it. Next, when I redraw is where the coloring and extra things happen. So here if you see, I am doing the same 2D calculation, finding out the same angular diameter and getting the size of how your eye would perceive that object to be. Some special effects here, and I am associating to the since I have recalculated the x and y, I will associate back to the base particle object. Then I will draw the arc, and there is a destroy function for the base particle object as well as the current object, and then I will destroy the full object, that is the full particle object. Okay, I hope it was understandable. Let me repeat it only once more. There is a 3D object. Okay, this will be the super base, and there is a particle defined. Every particle will have x, y, z as well as the gravity parameter as of now. Next, each particular particle will have its own size. S, E angle and rotation is considered for arc. So to complete the arc and make it look like a circle is why these parameters are used, 0 to 2 pi. I am filling in the dispose list so that I can have control over the objects. A few getter functions, a single time draw functionality which draws it for the first time, and a redraw functionality to do it for repeatedly with some special effects over here. In my particle object, let me come back. In my particle generator, what I am doing is I am defining that particle. Okay, so defined particle is over here. Okay, I am defining the particle in that list. So once I get this, note that within defined particle itself I have associated to the to dispose list. So I do have control over the particles. And initially, while creating the number of particles, I do draw it. Particle generator will take care of three things. One is it will give you the number of particles, the speed in which the particle needs to move, as well as the canvas context. Now when I come to the redraw functionality, I am calculating a little bit of getter setter based on the get x, y, z, x, y based on the mouse location. This mouse location is initially object that I showed initially. So x and y is considered, and then based on that I calculate a temporary x and y, and I go ahead and give it to the redraw functionality, which will do it for me. This is the looper. I told you I have used it multiple times over here, so I kind of used it to create a global variable called looper. I don't really support doing global variables, but then again it was actually useful. Then I'll update the frames per second and just go ahead and draw it. The outcome will look like this. Remember, this does not work in Firefox 21 for I don't know what reason. Let me even highlight you the error. So in Firefox 21 it does not get here. It somehow doesn't seem to get the object at these locations. If someone can find out why, oh, that will be great. another thing to note, this same code worked in Firefox 20 version. Let me show you in IE10, which actually does beautiful memory allocation according to me. Okay, now I am clicking on it, and this is actually the render speed or not, that I am not aware of. Chrome is kind of a hurry to render it. Okay, it's not actually meant for a gimmick or showing some pictures, but let me show you this. So let's go by image name, Internet Explorer. Okay, 6 MB to 47 MB. I clear logically I need to see a reduction. Okay, but the most important part, I should not see an increase every time. So if you notice, it still retains 48 MB. And clearing the particle, it should have disposed it. You can go ahead and do the same, and it will retain. In my testing, Internet Explorer does a very good job on disposing the memory. I don't know on the back end if it's really doing it or not, but yes, it does a good job. It maintains it at 48 MB itself. Chrome, on the other hand, is in a hurry to do this, and it does really eat a lot of memory, but then again, it's quite fast. Now, some things to play around with the code for you guys is this part. You can go ahead and increase the number of particles. I have set it to 10 as of now over here, alter canvas. Okay, if you make it to 1000, there is one thing I would like you to know. Make sure you don't give any shadow color and shadow blur, because your browser might hang or be super slow. I don't know why it's too slow, because maybe it might be rendering for every damn particle, shadow color and shadow blur, and it might be also because of your GPU power. This same code, when I tested in IE9, it somehow shifts everything to GPU. IE10 puts part of it in CPU and part of it in GPU, and it does heat up your machine when you do it for a long time. But then again, it does render properly in Chrome, and that's my base browser. Any questions, go ahead and ping me in YouTube, as well as I'm there in the website. You can put comments on that. Well, voila, here's a demo of particles within HTML5. Thank you for watching.